Welcome back, everybody. I'm Blinn.
I'm Michael.
This is Legally Speaking. Today we are on part 3 of what happens after you die. Bringing it home today.
Yep, wrapping up the estate.
I think three parts is enough, don't you?
I think that's plenty, yeah.
All right, so our executor or our administrator has done what they needed to do. They sold the assets they needed to sell. They're paid any claims that have been filed with the court. They paid any debts of the deceased. Now they're ready. Our claim period is run. So what do they need to do now?
Well, during that whole process, they've kept impeccable records. And so now they will start bringing in bank statements, receipts for proof of any payments on those debts or those claims. And more or less what you take is the gross receipts of the estate. You go through an accounting that we help you prepare, and you itemize all the expenses. And then at the very end, you have a final number, which would be what I would consider your net estate proceeds. And from there, then you follow the direction of the will or the laws of the state of Illinois if you don't have a will. So once you go through that accounting, there may bring up other issues that you need to start working on, like filing a final income tax return for the decedent.
Yeah, so I get a question a lot. You know, this person owns such and such. Let's say it's a vehicle. I don't know, Chevy truck. And do I have to sell that? Do I not have to sell that? And I think that the answer to that is it depends, which is an awesome lawyer answer. But you know, if there's enough other assets to pay the debts of the estate, and that vehicle is still there when we're ready to distribute, and there's no specific gift of that vehicle, you know, there's an ability to convey that in kind, you know, as it is, to the beneficiary or beneficiaries, depending upon how they make that agreement among themselves. So if there's one beneficiary and that truck's still there and everything's been paid and we're ready to distribute, yeah, that's no problem. But if there's a bunch of debts we got to pay, you know, that vehicle may need to be sold in order to satisfy those. So it just kind of depends. And I think that goes back to our last brief discussion about administering the estate a little bit. But, you know, wrapping it up is what we're going to do to distribute what's left, whatever that is, however, whatever form that takes, I guess, and account to the other beneficiaries and make sure that everybody agrees with what we're doing.
Yeah, and with that final account and proceeds that other beneficiaries get, for example, if they're getting an in-kind distribution rather than, you know, an equal cash payment or whatever their cash payment would be under the terms of the will, you know, you have to get the beneficiary to sign off on that. If they don't agree with the way that the administrator or the executor has decided to distribute assets, then they have, these other individuals involved would have the option to raise some type of an objection. So we help the estate administrator, the representative, make that decision on how are we going to distribute it out. And if you're the only person, or if it's you and your one sibling and you have agreed on everything throughout the way, it makes it very, very simple. If you have a lot of players involved and somebody wants to raise an objection, then we would have to get court involvement and ultimately prove up what our final report says. But that's what we're here for. That's what we help the estate representatives through pretty much on a daily basis.
And I think a lot of that relates back to also, you know, before we even start this discussion about what happens after you die, is what happens when you're alive. You know, what have you done to plan for this inevitable event, to try to avoid some of that infighting and confusion and things like that. You know, hear a lot like so-and-so passed away and it's not what their will says, but they told me this, you know, and that's nice, but that doesn't make any difference. You know, if the will doesn't say what it's supposed to say, then you got to go by the will. or the trust or whatever it is.
Right. I mean, that's one of the first things that people say whenever we meet with them is, well, so and so wanted this to happen, or so and so told me that these assets need to go to these people. And the answer to that is, if it's not in a written document signed by the decedent and witnessed by two unrelated individuals, it's not a valid wish or a valid bequest under the state of Illinois.
Right. It's all about planning, doing it right.
Getting the ducks in a row. Is August the annual Make a Will month?
I think that's right. Yeah.
I think it is. I think we're in the reminder stage every year to review your estate plan and make a will if you don't have one.
Good thing to have. Will, trust, whatever the case may be. We can help along that path, get it situated. I'm a big proponent of involving a lot of people in that discussion. I know that sometimes it's a shock what documents say when people die, but I think the more transparency, the better. Involve your kids, involve your spouse, involve your accountants, your financial planners, get everybody on the same page to know what's going on so that there's no confusion. I mean, it makes it real simple to know this is what's supposed to happen and get everybody aligned to go down that path. Makes it pretty easy when everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that the people you nominate for these roles are aware of that. They want to do it because they have the right to act. They don't have the obligation to in any situation. So yeah, I think having that open conversation, and even though you reduce your plan to writing, you need to speak that plan out so other people know.
Most definitely. I think that's all I've got on that topic at this moment. How about you?
Yeah, it's time to talk about the Cubs and how they're going to do the rest of the year.
Think they're going to make a run?
They're just lingering in that second place spot in the NL Central. So who knows? I think they have some pieces to make a little bit of a run, maybe not win it all.
Who knows? Sneak in, pull St. Louis Cardinals and win the World Series.
They've got it done.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know anything else. I think that's all we've got today. I appreciate everybody joining us. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Happy back to school to everybody.
Thanks.
See ya.